Okay, I wanted to share with you guys why I play the ball I play and how a little bit how you might be able to choose the right ball for your game, or maybe just the right ball for what you'd like to see in your game. So I'm not saying it's the perfect ball for, you're not necessarily choosing the perfect ball for you to score the best. You're choosing the ball that you want to play based on the shots you want to hit. If we were a robot, if we were a game and I was plugging variables into an algorithm and trying to find the best absolute ball to give you the lowest score, that's one thing. But if there are shots that you'd like to be able to hit and you're willing to give up a few yards, or you're willing to give up a little bit of accuracy, then you can absolutely choose a ball that will allow you to do that. So I'm going to talk about my ball, which is a Srixon Z-Star XV. It hasn't changed a lot over the last few years, which I'm actually really grateful for. I want my equipment, if anything in my game, I think my equipment can be the most consistent. So I do not like to change clubs often at all. I now will avoid it at all costs unless my swing changes to a degree where I need to make a change. And that happened recently where I gained quite a bit of club head speed going through the speed course. I gained about 10 miles per hour of club head speed. So my driver actually is still good for me, but my irons, based on some of the results I've seen from the flight scope, my irons are actually kicking a little bit too much at the bottom, which is creating some inconsistencies. But if I can, I will keep my equipment consistent. And the ball is one thing that if we can, and I think most companies do a pretty decent job of keeping a similar ball on the line as long as possible, the ball is something that we can usually keep pretty consistent. So the Z-Star XV, Srixon Z-Star XV, it is a high-tier golf ball, so it's a pro-level ball. It's got enough cover, friction, and core responsiveness that I can play it and get optimal distances out of it. I'm going to talk about the cover first. The cover is not the spinningest cover on tour, and I actually prefer that. That's the reason I'm playing that ball. And the reason why I prefer that is because I don't want my ball spinning too much. And it doesn't have anything to do with what my ball is doing around the greens. It's what my ball is doing from the tee box and the fairway on longer shots. So if I'm playing a really high spinning ball, like maybe the TaylorMade ball is a very high spinning ball, the Pro V1X is a high spinning ball. If I'm playing the higher spinning ball, if I have a little bit of an axis tilt or a little bit of a side spin, so to speak, on my golf ball, that's going to be exaggerated by this high spinning ball. So it's going to spin more. If it's spinning more and I tilt the axis a little bit, it's going to curve more. And if it curves more, I can potentially hit a ball out of play, versus another ball that's spinning a little bit less might not curve as much and might stay in play. So I play the Srixon Z-Star XV because of that. It still spins enough, plenty, when I get around the greens. It doesn't spin quite as much. I don't have quite as many options as far as getting it to really, really grab quickly on the greens when I'm chipping and pitching. But I feel that I know my ball and I know how to play it, so I can play for that. I can adjust the loft to get the outcome that I want based on the fact that I know it's not going to spin quite as much as one of those other balls. So that's the ball I play. Now for you, in your game, you just have to ask the question, how far are you willing to go with spin in order to get the optimal results around the green and the optimal results off the tee? If you're a player that really wants to be able to spin the ball around the green and really work the ball around the green, then you should be playing the spinniest ball that they have. That in mind, if you are playing the spinniest ball that they have, your ball is definitely going to into the wind, and when you put any side spin or axis tilt on your ball off the tee, it's going to curve more. So if you're a shorter hitter, a player that doesn't hit it that far, that might be okay, because your fairway is essentially wider than the player who hits it really far. If you hit it 200 yards, 3 degrees to the right, you might still be in the fairway, where the guy who hits it 300 yards, 3 degrees to right, might be out of bounds. So if you're a shorter hitter, you can get away with playing a little bit more curve on your tee shots, or having a little bit more spin on your ball, because you won't quite get into as much trouble as the guy who's hitting it 300 yards. Also, you can't possibly spin it as much as a guy that has 110 miles per hour clubhead speed if your clubhead speed's at 100 or 90. So you can fit your game around that high spinning ball if you're not hitting it that far. If you are hitting it far and you still want to spin it a lot around the greens, I suggest going with something like the Srixon Z-Star XV, which has a little bit lower spin, but still has enough spin to get it to work it around the green. So by that I just mean we're talking about just hundreds of revolutions. Those two balls are not that far off, but maybe 500 revolutions off the tee, which is keeping you from curving it, you know, quite as much off the tee, but still allowing you to spin it around the greens. It's just not going to have that extreme spin where it really, really spins and grabs into the greens. Now, the other ball suggestion that I'll make is a ball that spins very little. And that would be something like a Pinnacle, or there are a lot of balls out there. Basically, if it costs less than $20, it's not going to be a very high spinning ball. It's going to be a very simple ball with maybe a cover and a core, or maybe, you know, a cover and an inner mantle and a core. These balls are a little bit more durable, they last a little longer, and they don't spin as much. That's probably better for the majority of golfers off the tee, because that ball is not going to curve as much. And if you're a player that doesn't have extremely consistent curve, we may be better off eliminating some of that spin off the tee. That might get us in play a lot more often. And what we're giving up around the greens as far as spin goes, we might be able to accommodate or adjust for with hitting a little bit higher pitch shot, since we know it's not going to spin as much. Also, this ball is not going to, because it's not going to spin as much, because it doesn't have as much friction, it's going to launch a little bit higher. So it's naturally going to fly a little bit higher, which is going to take some of the roll out of the shot. So as you go into that low tier ball, or that, you know, that low spinning ball, you're actually, the ball's kind of working for you as you get closer to the green. It's launching a little higher with a little less spin, so it's going to land and roll a little bit less than your ball that launches lower and has a lot of spin. So I guess all things considered, you just have to ask yourself, how important is it for you off the tee? How important is it for you around the greens? And then potentially from the fairway, how important is it for you to have the amount of spin? Or what amount of spin do you want off the tee and from the fairway and around the greens? I found that as much as I want to believe I'm a very consistent player, I still know that if I have 500 revolutions of less of spin off my driver, A, into the wind my ball's going to go a little farther, but also B, when I do make a mistake and the ball has a little bit more tilt or a little bit more curve than I'd like, taking off some of that friction and taking off some of that spin is going to keep me in play a little bit more. So I've kind of let my ego to the side a little bit. I'm not playing the Pinnacle, which is probably the straightest ball off the tee for me, but I am playing a ball that has a little bit less spin, because I do understand that that's probably going to be a little more consistent for me. So I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about what ball to choose. I think at the end of the day, it's not that complex. The balls have 3 price points, and the price points essentially are the tiers of golf ball. So the higher the price is, basically the more it spins. To most of the degree, you know, to some degree, that's very accurate. The $25 or $30, so the $45 ball is generally going to spin the most high-tech ball. The middle of the range ball is going to have a little bit lower compression core, and it's going to spin a little bit less. And then the $20 and under golf ball is going to be the lowest spinning golf ball, probably the softest compression, which is better for slower club head speeds. So yeah, hopefully that's enough information for you guys to start making decisions about this. Feel free to leave a comment, a question in the form of a comment on this video, because I'm happy to go into more detail if I've left something out. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into why I chose the ball, why I've chosen to play the ball I play, and maybe helps you make a decision on choosing the ball that you're going to play.